Welcome back. You're looking at the MMA Oddsbreaker Fight Breakdown Show. That's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. Today, UFC 190. I mean, it's kind of the main event's kind of a no-brainer. Like, there's really probably not going to have that much to say on it. You know, when we actually get to the Rousey Correia fight. The co-main event obviously is a little bit more competitive in my mind with Nogueira and Rua. Both guys got to prove a point. Both guys got to prove a point to the bosses and to the fans. They still have a little bit left in them. I'm leaning towards Rua just because he's been more dynamic as of late. But what's the line say?
It's about 2-1 right now for him, so he is the favorite coming into this fight. Of course, he holds a win over Little Nog from back in the day in Pride as well, which was an awesome, outstanding fight. So looking forward to this rematch. I kind of wish it would have happened a little bit earlier in their careers, but that being said, it's still going to be a little bit intriguing. So minus 200 right now for Shogun, plus 170 is in line for Nogueira.
I mean, how do you see Nogueira, if Nogueira's going to win this fight as the underdog, how do you see Nogueira even trying to pull off a victory?
Well, honestly, I mean, Shogun has struggled recently. I mean, his strike defense hasn't really been up to par. We've seen in his last fight him getting knocked out. We've seen even in the Henderson fight, he was looking phenomenal in that fight, and then Henderson landed that H-bomb and just destroyed his nose as well. So defensively, he does have a few flaws. He is getting older as well, so I think that he's going to have a little bit of letdown as far as maybe chin goes a little bit. So Nogueira has some decent boxing. He's always had good striking. I think he could possibly have some success on the feet, but the more powerful striker, and I think the more accurate power striker, is going to be Shogun. He has always had that kind of one-punch KO power that could put anybody out. So if there's going to be a finish, I would suspect that it might be Shogun actually finishing Little Nog.
And if it hits the ground, even though Little Nog is really good, I mean, him and his brother are some of the most amazing MMA fighters on the ground about 6 years ago. Now they're not as good anymore. Their technique's still just as sound. It's just everybody else is caught up to their game. Everyone knows they have a triangle armbar omoplata series that they run from the bottom. Everybody knows how they get into it. Everybody knows they do hit push. Like, everybody knows this. So I think even if Shogun takes Nog down, Nog's not going to be able to do anything to him from the bottom. It's going to be a top man's game, which is where Shogun's going to end up being. I don't see Nog being able to take down Shogun. Do you see Nog ending up on top at all?
Possibly. I mean, the thing is, I agree with you. Shogun's wrestling has improved tremendously. I mean, he's looked really good. I mean, he's been able to take down people that, surprisingly, that you would think, oh, he's not going to take this guy down, and he has. So he's really been drilling that. I think both of these fighters right now are actually, as far as ability goes, they've never been better. But the problem is, again, with age, their bodies just won't react as well. That's why when you were talking about the Nogueira brothers, now a little bit maybe easier, are struggling more on the ground. The technique has always been there. I think it's just their bodies won't flow as well on the ground. I think that's a problem. That's why Big Nog has been getting submitted. I think in his prime, he wouldn't have got caught, even by Mir or Verdum, and they're outstanding jiu-jitsu practitioners. But it's just he's not as as smooth on the ground anymore because he's just older. I think that's what it is. So he can't react and with the technique to to save himself like that. And I think that's the same thing with Little Nog as well. I think that's why maybe he might struggle a little bit on the ground. He's just not as fast, not as fluent as he used to be. But this is going to be an interesting fight because I do think Shogun makes some mistakes from time to time and ends up on his back, especially as he gets a little bit tired. He could go 5 rounds. We know that. I mean, he's been in wars, but he does tend to get tired after round 1 a little bit, and he can push all the way through. This is only a 3-round fight, so I don't think it's going to be a problem either way for these guys. But I don't know. I think it is going to be a competitive fight. I think that I could see Shogun's wrestling is a little bit better, but I wouldn't be surprised if he still ends up on his back along the way.
Straight bet, I'm taking Rua. Where I'm putting my money is, though, I have to take the dog in this one again. It sounds like this is going to be another one, and we keep saying it, another dog or pass situation.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, again, where the line is, and if you really look at the inconsistency recently, even though he's improved Shogun, I mean, if you look, he's been getting beat a lot as well. His wins that he has are okay, but they're not great. Over the higher level competition, he's been losing. So yeah, I don't know if I would want to lay 2-1 again in that spot. But at the same time, Nogueira just got plastered by Anthony Johnson. He hasn't been consistently fighting either the last couple of years, so it's a tough fight to bet. I mean, it should be entertaining because you got 2 quality skilled fighters going at it, and again, the rematch comes into play as well. It should be fun, but as far as betting goes, it is kind of tough.
Okay, so another dog or pass situation. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's just how these fights are working out. Don't blame us. Blame the matchmakers. They're the ones that are screwing everybody up. So moving on to the main event, Correia versus Rousey. Rousey's got to be it's got to be 100 million. She has to be 100 million points ahead. Like this is. I don't understand at this point. Like, Rousey's just so freaking good. It makes no sense to me. Like, she's so much better than everybody else that she fights. Everybody else in that weight class. Yes, Miesha Tate's gonna get her third chance at her because I firmly believe she crushes Correia within the first round. I don't care what Rousey says. Rousey says, "Oh, I'm a torturer and take my time and do all that." She is an Olympic judo competitor. She understands get out of there as fast as possible because anything can happen. This fight doesn't get out of the first round. Take the under if you're gonna bet it, and there's no amount of money you can possibly put on Rousey to make any sense. So take $5 and put it on Correia that Ronda might slip on a banana peel. Am I right? Am I calling this fight right?
Yeah, you are. I mean, the actual line right now is minus 1,700 for Ronda Rousey. The comeback is plus 1,100 for Correia. And you know what? It's basically the storyline that got Correia the title shot. I'm not saying, she's undefeated. I understand it. But as far as her ability, she's solid everywhere, but she's not great anywhere. That's the problem. I think, honestly, a lot of people expect, we consider Ronda Rousey more of a grappling based fighter, obviously. She's got the beautiful judo with the armbar submissions, submitting most of her opponents. I think the only two wins that she has that are not by submission or by knockout. So 9 out of her 11 wins, she submitted her opponent. So that's what we kind of expect. But she is developing into a great fighter all around. I mean, now she's dangerous in the stand-up aspect a little bit more as well. So I don't even think that Correia actually has a stand-up edge in this fight. That's a scary thing. So regardless of where the fight takes place, Ronda's going to be landing the harder, more effective shots on the feet. She's going to be obviously, you can't even compare the ground. It's basically done when it hits the ground as well. So yeah, it's a squash match. It's not a dog or pass situation. If you want to look at maybe some props at 5 dimes, they have a ton of props out for this fight. So you could find maybe Ronda Rousey in round 1, or a fight doesn't go past round 1, or like you said, the under. There's different ways to bet this fight. Maybe Rousey by armbar, all sorts of different options. But the props are the way to bet this fight, not the straight line, obviously, because you can't do much with it.
This is, I'm sorry, 1,700?
Yep.
It's becoming ludicrous. And the problem is, it's not Ronda's fault. She's just that much better than anybody else in the division. Floyd Mayweather, and her have this back and forth going on, whatever. And Floyd kind of, alluded to her being a man, whatever. We'll donate the money to whatever, to women that look like men, kind of thing. And I got offended. I had just left Vegas. I just moved to Hawaii. I wanted to fly back to Vegas and go smack Floyd in the head for that one. That's just being disrespectful to a great champ. But I also understand Floyd's game. But it did make me realize something. The reason why Ronda is so much better than anybody else, because she does fight like a man. She fights like a man in her division would do. So these women don't have other men to train with like she does. Like Ronda's just one of those girls that has always trained with men. She's always had that kind of mentality. And she fights kind of like a dude. And as a result, she beats the crap out of everybody. Give yourselves 15 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, at home. Watch all of her fights, because that's as long as it's going to take. And she doesn't just jump into an armbar and luckily get it. She beats the crap out of you, then jumps into an armbar. Is there anybody at this weight class right now that's going to be able to catch her? Other than her being on a movie set, not training, showing up out of shape and overweight, and then trying to fight. Other than her doing it to herself, is there anybody going to catch her right now?
Not right now. Especially the scary thing is she's improving. She was raw when she entered the UFC. She had the ground game, of course, but now she's getting better. So I don't think so. She's just that far ahead of everybody in the division. Eventually, you know what? All fighters lose, so it's going to happen. It might be a flukish thing. Then maybe she gets a rematch or whatever. Like you said, maybe she comes unprepared to a fight. So it's going to have to be somebody that has a tremendous takedown defense and just really scary striking. I think that is going to have to beat her. Now, of course, a lot of people are saying Cyborg might be that girl to do that. And I would like to see that as well, because I think definitely Cyborg would be the toughest challenge, because Cyborg's knockout power is just crazy good. So I think that's possible, but can Cyborg actually keep it upright? I don't know if that's possible, but probably Cyborg, I think, is her biggest challenge out there. The UFC has to make that fight eventually, and they know that.
I don't think Cyborg can make 35 though. I think that's part of the problem, is that Cyborg can only make 40. That's the only place they can do it at. Miesha Tate came out and said, look, since no one else will fight Cyborg, I'll fight her. But now all of a sudden Miesha's next in line for the winner of the Correia versus Rousey fight. I think Rousey destroys Cyborg at 35 because she can't make the weight. If this fight's at 40, all of a sudden now it becomes interesting. Take the title, take the belt off the table because it's not at 35. Put them both at 40. That fight becomes interesting. A lot more interesting than this fight that's going to happen on Saturday night down in Rio. I honestly, after the Hua fight, I'm gonna get a beer and start heading home. I'm just gonna start, I'm gonna head back to the house, and someone will text me, oh, she won in 45 seconds. Okay, that's I'll watch it later on Fight Pass when it becomes available. I'm just not. It doesn't. Yeah. Ronda's so good. I'm almost not even interested anymore in watching her fights because she's just that much better than everybody else. At this point.
Yeah, but she's definitely a great draw. Like as far as the popularity. I mean, the website traffic across all MMA websites this week, they love Ronda Rousey for sure because you're just getting that much more traffic. And it's a type of situation. I said it before, and I truly mean it. I wish Ronda Rousey could fight at least once a month. That'd be great. I mean, as for business for the UFC, would probably agree as well.
Would be amazing. Like for us,
Yeah,
our West, it'd be great for MMA Oddsbreaker because
yeah,
we do vignettes on her the entire time, just talking about
yeah,
it. That's all we're doing. It's
yeah.
she's a superstar. I still believe Conor McGregor is still the biggest star that UFC has right now. But it's tough to say that during a UFC fight week when Ronda's the main event. It's tough to do that because, honestly, other than Conor coming out right now and saying Ronda Rousey would throw me in 1 second on my head, and probably knock me out. Like he said that I think yesterday. It came out in the media. And other than him saying that, everybody's kind of forgot about Conor this week. Like Conor's like an afterthought because it's Ronda Rousey week, and that's kind of like it's tough to say. Hey, Conor's the biggest draw they have right now when it's a fight week for Ronda because she really is demanding all the attention. And what was her thing? I'm gonna beat this girl up and beat one more girl, beat Misha up again, and it's gonna be bad for her. Like I'm gonna hurt her really bad, and I'm gonna go make another movie. It's like I'm like, even her trash talking is getting better. Like it's just amazing to watch what she's doing. So.
Yeah, and she's drawing, superstar attention as well. Look, LeBron James just, mentioned something about her at the ESPYs. Like he wanted to go say something to her, and a lot of the media sites are picking up on this. Even ESPN picked up on it as well. So just amazing, a Twitter conversation with LeBron James saying, "Yeah, I would have liked to meet her, but I was afraid she's going to beat me up," type of thing. So LeBron, and I mean, she has that crossover appeal. I mean, with other athletes, with movie stars, just everything. She's the total package, and she deserves it, man. She's been working hard, and it's good for the sport across the board as well.
And when I say Conor McGregor is the biggest star the UFC has, I'm talking about only in fighting, only draws for stadiums and draws for pay-per-view. That's what I'm talking about. There's nobody right now that has a bigger crossover appeal than Ronda Rousey. And honestly, in my opinion, in any sport, no one has a crossover appeal that she has right now. She's drawing it out and killing everybody. And she legitimately is getting ready to do another movie with Mark Wahlberg because of how well she did on Entourage. And this is just what she does. She goes in and impresses everybody that she is around, and she's going to impress us again Saturday night in about 90 seconds or 120 seconds into it. We're going to be impressed again. This is what's going to happen.
Yep, I agree. Hard to argue that.
Yeah, that's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. You're watching the MMA Oddsbreaker Fight Breakdown Show. Once again, Nick, this one was easy to break down, the main event. The co-main event was a tough one to break down just because of how the two older guys are putting together. But once again, I mean, these lines are shifting as we're speaking. Do you see the Rousey line getting any closer, and do you see the co-main event with Nogueira getting any wider?
I could see maybe some more action coming in on Shogun because of maybe the disrespect factor for Nogueira. It just seems like Shogun is a little bit more of the popular fighter, I think, amongst the American fans right now and amongst the bettors as well. They probably have a little bit more faith in Shogun, so maybe that climbs a little bit. The Rousey line is interesting because typically when I set the line that high, usually it does tend to drop a little bit, like by fight day, because people are thinking that's ridiculous. Why? How should anybody be a favorite? And then she goes out and wins a fight in 15 seconds. So, but that being said, it's interesting because I think now finally people are saying that like we are, Correia really realistically doesn't have a good shot to win it. So I think it probably will stay ballpark around there, maybe 1,500, 1,700, maybe it climbs up to 2,000 as well, but it'll bounce around that spot. So it's hard to tell with that line because typically they do drop a little bit on Rousey.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So that's it again for another week. We'll be back again next week talking about the next UFC event.